Hello, welcome to the Mandela Effect equals knowledge. Here, we're going to talk about the Milky Way galaxy and why possibly the Mandela effect's occurring. And this is something that really makes a lot of sense because the Mandela effect is really a teacher. It's a great teacher, and basically just by experiencing it and having an interest in it in the Milky Way galaxy it really gives us more knowledge about it than any astrophysicist on the face of the earth. Now, this is not the Milky Way galaxy here. This is a artist's rendition of something they actually capture, and here it's obviously calving, but they because of the Big Bang theory that all astrophysicists have to follow, most of them do, but anyway, they assume these are colliding. But the real hilarious thing, in a sense, is all their proof and evidence is always a large galaxy with a small one colliding. It's not the case. It's very obviously calving. Because for starters, even when they come in an angle or whatever, they still think it's a collision. It's remarkable. But the first thing we have to realize is that all galaxies have the galactic center. And no doubt when they calve, the calf creates its own, as it spins with the dynamic energy, it creates its own galactic center where all matter is created from the galaxy. You have to picture it like a welder. That's exactly what's happening because basically we live in an electrical universe. And the Mandela Effect is proving that everything is electrical, including the mighty galaxies. So picture the galactic center like this is an arc weld here. And there's a lot of electricity coming through this fork into this welding rod, which is made up of metal and other elements to help flux the metals together that incredible electrical energy creates this arc. As they're doing the arc weld, that's why they call it arc weld, because there's an electrical arc where they have to wear special lenses to watch their work, otherwise they'd go blind. But there's a great amount of energy there created by humans, so you can imagine the galaxy, spinning. They do spin, and remarkably, that every region of the galaxy is going at the same speed. It's contrary to Kepler's laws of dynamics, which again, Mandela effect's, proving a lot of physics is wrong as well. Gravity is not the king. Electromagnetic energy is. So picture the galaxy growing. Of course, they grow, and because they're constantly creating matter, just like this, but in a much incredible scale that we can't even imagine. That's why they even admit there's a bulge there. They call it the bulge, the galactic center. So that's not a black hole. If it was a theoretical black hole, then you wouldn't see this bulge. I mean, in some illustrations, it goes up 50,000 light years on the northern and southern pole, the gamma radiation and dynamic energy. That's how much energy like this that's happening in the center of all galaxies. So they're constantly creating matter, and you can see this is creating matter. These sparks, every spark you see here is matter created from this arc weld. So this is a really good illustration, because when I first heard about it from a physicist, her name escapes me. I'll type it in if I can find her. But she was kicked out of the University of South Africa because she was teaching people that the center of the galaxy is like this. This is a small, super, minuscule example, of course, but every spark is matter. Literally, this is matter. You can feel it when it hits you, because I used to be a welder's helper in Texas, during the oil boom in the early 80s when Reagan was president. But anyway, this is all matter. all of it, and some of it comes out as chunks of metal. So that's what the center of the galaxy is doing. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's constant, and it doesn't take a break. It's constantly creating matter, constantly, and the matter it's creating is a duplicate of what we see, and the Mandela Effect is proving that because every reality we've been to has the same constellations and everything, and the same solar system for the most part, and so it's amazing. So all the matter coming out of here is duplicate matter. So basically, it's still the center of the galaxy is still creating Earth's solar systems. I'm sorry, with Earth's. You know, I don't know if they're ready made when they come out. Or if they're the star comes out and the planets are made from the star. But at any rate, I'm certain they come out ready made. Let's just say. And here's the Sagittarius arm right here, the small, skinny arm here. And it goes all the way around, but it branches off. And we know there's a lot of Earths in here because I've been in a reality where the Earth was right here where it splits, separates. This branches off to the Orion spur. But they're one of the same because here's the Sagittarius arm goes all the way around. And many of us came from out here. And ironically, came from out there. Our portions of our soul, the one we'll always have, came out there. Right, you're still out there. I know that sounds crazy, but you're still out there. But it's the replica version of yourself where your soul portion originated from. Your soul portion just simply has another portion of your soul in it, experiencing the same thing you are. They maybe came from here and they're out there now, realizing that wow, they were in both places at the same time. Of course, we know it's more than two, but I remember there's a lot of Earths in here, down this arm, and on the Sagittarius side, but mostly on the Orion. That's what's amazing. That's significant. I think the Orion is significant. Something about the name. But anyway, many of us ironically came straight across the Galactic Center out here, and I'll show where they scale out the light years. This is 75,000 light years out here from here. This is like the massive blind spot too. There's so much energy coming out of here. It's a blind spot for the astrophysicists here in these realities. And the realities out here, they have a much better view. Because many of us know the Milky Way galaxy is much more dynamic. We're not in a different galaxy. It's just that the realities here have a dimmer view of the galaxy. They have to make an educated guess, and they do a pretty good job simply because they're constantly connected on a subconscious level with all the realities out here where they have a much better view of the galaxy. So basically this is, an artist's rendition. But they admit that there's the bulge. So if this is constantly creating energy, which it obviously has to be, because could you imagine, this thing's, some say 200,000 light years across, some say 100,000, but regardless, the energy by this spinning, it must be enormous to obviously, put this illustration to shame. But if you scale it down, that's exactly what's happening constantly. Matter is being created, duplicate matter, duplicate solar systems with Earths right now as we speak. So if that's the case, which it obviously has to be, then what happens when the galaxy reaches its capacity? It calves. It's only natural. Icebergs calve. Everything calves. You know what I mean? It's just natural. So that's could be what's happening to the Milky Way galaxy as we speak. We wouldn't know. Astrophysicists wouldn't know. I'm certain there's Earths on the arm that's calving. And that's, something may happen to those Earths. Life is probably still on them as we know it, but once it creates its own galactic center, this calf, then something may happen to those Earths, and that's when whatever happens, or I assume the Earths will remain, and this new galaxy will remain, or will keep the fingerprint of this galaxy and spit out duplicate solar systems with Earths as well. But there's going to take a certain amount of stars and whatever it takes to get the calf to start off and start creating its own matter and stretching out arms and whatnot. But something at that break-off point is going to happen. I think too, the Earth's and solar system will remain, of course, because of the signature, but maybe only in that sense. But once that happens, because the Mandela Effect is proving that there's this quantum entanglement is everything. Everything. And science is starting to figure it out. Here's an article about, incredible article. So if something happens to any of the Earths in the Milky Way galaxy, it's going to happen to all of them. So this Earth is still going. It's nothing really, it seems more drastically in peril than the Earths we originated from and that are still there, and we're still there. These Earths seem a lot more in peril, but it's always been like that here. Nothing different. It's just the difference that makes us more startled and think that the Planet X is here and things like that, and all the chemtrailing they're doing and all that. They've been doing that forever around here and talking about Planet X forever. I mean, it wasn't hardly discussed in the reality I recall. But here you can see it enables particles to affect each other instantaneously across any distance. And that's what's happening with our realities. Entangled particles, which is basically us. We're the particles, and the solar system are the particles that are released from the Galactic Center that are still being released as we speak. And no doubt, like I said, I think the Milky Way galaxy has reached its capacity and it's calving. But here it says the entangled particles remain connected even if they were on the opposite sides of the universe. So this calving calf is going to remain connected with the galaxy. So everything's parallel and quantum connected on a quantum level. I don't know if that word is quantumly connected as a word. But anyway, there's so many new words trying to describe this phenomenon, the Mandela Effect. Again, it's turning us into astrophysicists. I never really was. I was always super interested in the Milky Way galaxy. That's why I was always interested in the location of the solar system, which again was way, the heck out here. Maybe perhaps the Sagittarius Arms calving. And here they got examples of calving where there's two little galaxies. This may be remnants of two arms that calved from the nearest galaxy, wherever it may be. They're not going to see, the astrophysicists are not going to admit that these are calves. No way, that these small ones are calves. They think these small ones are colliding with the big ones. That's hilarious. It's so obvious that in fact, there's a report that was made, I can't remember, in the 60s or 50s, the Redding report, that proves that this is calving, because they tracked it separating, not colliding. This isn't a black hole sucking in all this and all the matter in the Milky Way galaxy. Where do you think the matter comes from? Think about it. It's not just collected from this alleged theoretical supermassive black hole. That's impossible. It makes more sense that this is, just like that welder. That's a classic illustration. That's the Galactic Center scaled down, creating matter constantly. Duplicate matter, too. That's what's amazing when you think about it. And no doubt the calves keep the fingerprint. But I suspect that the galaxy is calving as we speak. Let's just say this is our galaxy. And we're here and everywhere along the Sagittarius Arm. We know for sure we're on the Sagittarius Arm. We have no idea what's going on with the other arms in the Milky Way galaxy. We know also that there's at least 7 arms. Here they only show 4 major arms. But let's just say this is the Milky Way galaxy right now, constantly creating matter, never taking a break, because it can't, because the spin of the galaxy is incredibly dynamic. And we know this because Like I said, anywhere, any sector of the galaxy you're at, you're going the exact same speed, counterclockwise around the galactic center. The exact same speed. It doesn't matter what clockwise, counterclockwise, because if you look at it from the top and maybe going counterclockwise, you look from the bottom, it's going clockwise. Same with our solar system, you know. But this has never taken a break because it can't. So it's creating solar systems with Earths as we speak. So say our galaxy, this is our galaxy, and it's calving, and it's still connected to whatever arm's calving right now. I suspect it's a Sagittarius arm. I suspect also very strongly that it's this activity in the galaxy that's causing the Mandela effect. And no doubt it's a very rare event. For them to even capture it, it's rare. This again is an artist's rendition. But I believe that once it's separated, or what happens to the solar systems that came along with this calved arm? Again, life may be going on as we know it, because, well, we know it is. If it's calving right now, we know that everything's fine in there, simply because everything's fine here for the most part. You know what I mean? Of course, we have a messed up, inverted society, but other than that, that's always been like that. So we know nothing's happening to the Earths that are on the calving arm, whatever arm that may be. Again, I believe it's a Sagittarius arm. But maybe it's still connected. Maybe nothing will happen once it's separated, because life goes on in there. But maybe it takes millions of years for the center to be dangerous, and by that time, things are spreading out already in the safe distance once it starts, doing its thing, to be dangerous. But I suspect that, again, we're here. I'm certain that there's Earths, very close to the Galactic Center. It might be really incredible in there. Again, we know it's really incredible in here because it's so much different. The thing that got me was all the color. Night sky is very colorful in these realities. Where they're out here, everything's white. The stars, the skies, you can't even see Mars if they're so far away. The redness of Mars, unless you had a telescope. But everything's white out here, including the Milky Way galaxy, and the night sky is magnificent. And it's, the only reason it's different in these realities from these realities is because we're in a different location. It's not because we're in a different galaxy. Mandela Effect's proving that there's multiple realities that we all exist in the Sagittarius arm. Again, we're oblivious to it, but that's a reality, and it's all in one dimension. It's important to realize that it's separated by distance. I mean, the nearest star from any reality is 3-4 light years away. That's an inconceivable vast distance. What is that? That's like 28 trillion light years away. Or, I'm sorry, miles away. 28 trillion miles away. You can count every tree on Earth and then count that as a mile. There you go. I mean, that's impossible. And this is a philosophical point. I'll try to illustrate. I'll put up an illustration, in fact. If the nearest star to our solar system is, so let's just say 3 light years away, and there's that star has its solar system has an Earth with our reality there that we exist in. So both realities, the one you're in and the one that's 3 light years away. Say there's an astronaut. They'll just say you're the astronaut for this illustration, and you have the capability to go 4 light years in a reasonable amount of time, or 3 light years. Again, that's 6 times 3. That's 18 trillion miles. Before I did the math with 4 light years, but because I think it is 4 light years from here. I'll look it up and make sure. But let's just say, in your reality, because again, you have your soul portion. You'll always have it, regardless of what replica version of yourself it's in. It doesn't matter, because obviously we can coalesce with any version of ourselves in a blink of an eye. That's what's happening. It's remarkable when you think about it. But let's just say, your portion of your soul, the one you'll always have, the one that's experiencing the Mandela Effect, is an astronaut, and you have the capability to go 3 light years to the closest star that has a solar system with the Earth in it. Okay? You're leaving there. You're an astronaut. You're capable of going to the other solar system with the Earth, and of course you're not oblivious that it doesn't have it. You know there's no Earth there. You're just going there to see that solar system. Okay? You're leaving and you're going there, and you make it there. What are you going to see? An Earth. And you're going to land, and it's going to be a virtually identical reality, because it seems like every reality in these Orion, in this region of the galaxy, these Orion dwarfers, is virtually identical. It's hard to tell when you're in a different reality, but there's subtle differences and variations you can point out and recognize, thereby realizing you shifted in another reality. But let's just say you did that, you made that trip, and it's in a reasonable amount of time. Of course, it's not. We don't have the technology. Probably never will. Maybe we will. But let's just say, all right, you do it. You're an astronaut. You have no idea your soul is splintered and fractured. You have no idea there's other replica versions of yourself doing the same thing. Okay, so you go, you make it there. What are you going to think? You're going to approach that solar system, and you're going to think that your mind's going to go crazy, because it's like, wow, there's an Earth there, and then if you do realize it's another reality, you're going to go looking for yourself, but that's not going to happen, because that replica version of parallel version of yourself did the same thing you did, and perhaps headed to its nearest star, which was our sun in this reality. And you'll find, it's going to be a conundrum. You're both going to travel to a different reality, but it'll be impossible for you to meet each other, because that's true with all of us. We'll never physically be able to see each other, because nothing leaves the Earth. Even the astronaut. If the astronaut went to the other reality, that he exists in, or they exist in, then the replica version of ourselves in that reality will be gone, and that space will be vacant, and they'll be, But again, we don't have the technology to do that. But even if we did, it'd still be basically switching realities like we are right now. But the Mandela Effect's revealing that it's only in a spiritual sense. This is a very spiritual thing, and only our spirits can transverse the galaxy. In some cases, 75,000 light years in the blink of an eye. This one says 100,000. But here we are in this reality on the Orion Spur, and we came from out here. Again, follow the Sagittarius arm. Here it is. Here's the break off with the Orion Spur. Again, I remember realities in here, right where it forks off. But the Sagittarius continues and goes all the way around, all the way up here. And ironically, they show 0 degrees, this is latitude. Ironically right there, and right where they showed us 75,000 light years, because every one of these grids is 5 light years. So from our reality here in this solar system, we basically, shifted into another reality over in a blink of an eye. 75,000 light years. Again, if you see even what science is realizing, it doesn't matter. Distance doesn't matter. Quantum entanglement knows no boundaries. So 75,000 light years, it doesn't matter. The Mandela Effect is proving this. Again, here's another artist rendition. This is kind of out of scale, because this kind of makes it look like we're close to the edge, when we're really not. We're close to the center. This they're not showing this arm, which goes way out, but this almost appears like, But I remember being way, way out, on the You Are Here, way out. So again, it's, the same galaxy, just a different reality. Here they're saying 100,000. It's more like 200,000, and probably more than that. See, this one, I think, almost 200,000 from side to side longitude. But it's again depending on what reality. I remember some a lot in here, some on mostly sometimes they call this the inner arm. Depends on what reality. Again, the astrophysicists have very limited understanding of the galaxy. I mean, it's like, again, it's a good thing they have replica versions of themselves. They're tied to constantly with that quantum entanglement, but it's on a subconscious level, because their counterparts, their replica versions of themselves out here, have a tremendous view of the galaxy, the entire galaxy. They know exactly what it looks like. So, their versions of themselves down. And these realities have such a dim view because of this tremendous blind spot that's created from this immense, Galactic Center, which is what, 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, at least 20 light years across. Again, those are inconceivable vast distances we're talking about here. So we're in the same galaxy, we're just in a different location. And the only reason it looks different is because it's the best they can do here. Obviously, all of us out there that we're interested in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, obviously, not everybody is. Some people are into it, some people ain't. It doesn't matter. So what if you're not, right? But if you were interested in it, it's way more dynamic looking than this. It looked just like a pinwheel. I recall it looking just like a pinwheel with at least seven major arms. It has all four of these. It's Centaurus, Norma, Sagittarius, of course, Perseus. Here they're showing Orion arm. I think there was a full Orion arm. It's interesting that they would call this the Orion spur off the Sagittarius arm when there's already, I'm sorry, this is blocked out. They call this the outer arm. They don't even have a name for it. That's what's amazing. They had a name for all the arms. And again, my favorite, I say it all the time, but it's just so fun to talk about. It's one of my favorite Mandela effects. When Michio Kaku talked about our solar system's location in the Milky Way galaxy, he said, it showed it clearly way out here. And it was almost off the plane. That's why I kind of think that it's kind of calving out there now. Of course, they may not even be aware of it calving yet. It's such a rare event, so nobody would be expecting it or know what to look for. Imagine how rare that is, this galaxy calving. But they have such a wonderful view of the galaxy. And we do too out there in the night sky. It was just fascinating. I'll never forget the first time I saw it. But anyway, getting back to Michio Kaku, he talked clearly about it, and he would ironically point into this area of the galaxy and say how we wouldn't want to be there. It would be like a pinball machine. It's uninhabitable. No way. But he's totally oblivious that he had a replica version of himself in realities here discussing the same topic. But saying that this is obviously habitable, but it's not habitable out here. It's a frozen wasteland. Isn't that hilarious? But that's the Mandela effect for you. You're going to see variations and differences. It's simply because of the location. And certainly because they're, tied with the versions of themselves that have excessive knowledge of the galaxy. They're able to make educated guesses in here. So I believe, again, we're here, and many of us are out there as well. So there's a lot of Earths out there. And this Sagittarius arm right here, 75,000 light years away from here, may be calving, causing the Mandela effect. Or part of it. I know it personally. I take it seriously as far as being prophesized. Something this momentous had to be prophesized. I try not to get that spiritual on this channel. I want to be more philosophical. But you can't help but admit that it's a very highly spiritual thing, and it must have been prophesized, which it certainly was in Revelation, chapter 10, verse 7. So we know something's happening, and it was prophesized. Something momentous. This is a pretty good artist rendition. This is again our Sagittarius arm right here. I believe, and we're here, or right about there. It depends on what angle they have the drawing. But it clearly is all these arms from the center. Sagittarius arm is still moving along, and as the arms grow out from the matter being created from the Galactic Center, they're taking all the solar systems with them. And as the solar systems venture out, everything grows. It's very obvious because they're collecting all the intense matter out there. So that's why our Earths and realities out here and outer reaches of the Sagittarius arm are super Earths because they're much older. Life was created on these Earths when there was all the realities were close to the Galactic Center. And then after, I talked about this on the other channel, after creation started, this still kept moving on, but the creation line moved along with it. So the Earths are still all tied together, from the newest to the oldest, to even ones capped off arms, but the life on them moves along with the line. So that's essentially new Earths in there, my friend. I'm serious. But that's what's amazing. We know that everything is duplicate that comes out of the center because we see the constellations in every reality. Every reality. Of course, there's variations and differences. The larger the scale, like constellations, the more variations and differences we're going to see. And the smaller the scale, the less variations and differences, because everything is connected constantly on a quantum level, and there's bound to be, as much as it's maintained as much as possible, there's bound to be, glitches, if you will. And that's, what's the way everything is. That's why there's variations and differences, simply because the geography of the Earth is going to be different. But the outcome always remains the same. I mean, I love this. This is Roman numerals, probably representing time. But we know time is not linear. Time is, for the most part, irrelevant. And the Mandela Effect is revealing that. But again, this is about the galaxy, Milky Way galaxy. Is it calving? Because they all do. They all eventually do. The Milky Way galaxy we're in right now was calved from another galaxy, probably Andromeda, the closest one. There's a real good, I think, let me go towards the end here. There's a real good picture of the Milky Way galaxy. The most recent, this one. This is a lot more detailed. Now here they're showing Andromeda galaxy direction. Right here, the arrow. Now I bet you $1,000 that the galaxy direction, see, look, it's moving this way, away from Andromeda. Andromeda, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. So this galaxy, the Milky Way, is probably calved from Andromeda. And it's proven it. The direction's going away from it, straight away from it. It's not colliding with it. It's going away from it. And this isn't going into another galaxy. The colliding galaxies, they're impossible. Could you imagine the magnetic energy in this entire galaxy would prohibit it for interacting with any other galaxies other than calving? So it's not a black hole. It's a white hole. That's important to realize that. And the Mandela Effect's revealing that it's creating duplicate solar systems and realities that we all exist in. And it's calving right now, no doubt, as brand new ones are being made constantly. And they're all, at least in the Sagittarius arm, are all duplicate solar systems with Earths. And when life was created on them, again, this is pretty philosophical. When life was created on the Earths, long, long, long ago, they were probably all very close to the Galactic Center at that point, because the galaxy as a whole was very small at that point, billions of years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago at any rate. So there was probably plenty of Earths already good, obviously suitable for creation, the dinosaurs included, who also had a duplicate realities, just like the Milky Way galaxy spitting out duplicate solar systems. The Mandela Effect's proving this. But again, if life was created from the Pangeas, Because again, they're Pangea when they come out, and they collect the water as they come out, because the solar systems and are in exact perfect plane with the sun. In other words, the Earth is straight up and down on its axis, Pangea. So it's going to immediately collect because the poles, no matter what size the planet is, the poles, if it's an elliptic with the sun, with its star, the poles on any planet are not going to ever see the sun. So they easily start collecting ice caps. So no doubt all these Earths, when creation happened, they had massive ice caps. And because they weren't tipped on their axis, they were collecting water. Plenty, and no doubt the ice caps on both poles created an incredibly perfect temperate zone. Think about it. I mean, we're talking about the time when Atlantis was around, and when the Babylon, before King Nimrod was in power. This before the flood, all that. Life was created. The Milky Way galaxy still spitting out Earths, but there's no life on those Earths as we know it. There couldn't be, because once the realities were created, that's a separate thing to what's going on here. But yet all the Earths will always be tied in. Maybe that's why there's obviously so much activity, because whatever happens on the Pangeas is going to happen on the supers. Think about it. Obviously, we know that. The Mandela Effect's revealing it, because in every reality, you look at the geological records in the history of weather and everything. It's all identical, virtually identical in every reality. So we know every Earth is affected and always will be, even the brand new ones. So if Pangea here is starting to spread, and as they all do, as they age, all of them are going to age, or obviously age, but grow as they age at the same rate. That's why they all have earthquakes. You can look at the earthquake history of earthquakes in any reality, and they happen in the same spot. Regardless, even the ones in New Zealand, it doesn't matter if New Zealand's at the 2 o'clock position or the 5 o'clock position off Australia, or the 10 o'clock position, because there's some realities where that is. But everything happens exactly the same. So that's always going to be connected. But the realities that were created on these incredible Earths that were probably like paradise, think about it. No doubt. I'm serious. They come out paradise. But anyway, what life was created, which is separate from the Earths that are being created, or solar system matter being created here. Once the creation started, that from whomever, then that's separate. So as these Earths and realities moved along, because that's what's happening, obviously, the Mandela Effect's proving it. There are some astrophysicists who know that's what's going on, like the Redding report. Of course, that was shunned because it's an affront to the Big Bang Theory. So that's an interesting thought, isn't it? It's very philosophical. You take, once created, started, it never, once it started, it moved along with the realities. In other words, the solar systems that all venture out and grow as they age. Who knows how long it takes for this Pangea Earth to wind up out here as a super Earth. Hundreds of millions of years, perhaps billions of years, or maybe sooner. Who knows? I think it's obviously a long time. Again, time is nothing, really. In that, well, I don't want to get too spiritual, but it is a philosophical point. The Earths are always going to be connected, but the reality on the Earths are going to move along with the realities in the Earths. And there's a line there. Once the creation started, it created a boundary. And then the center of this young galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, when it was young, was continually creating duplicate matter like it is now. Even constantly, just because it's big, it's not stopping. If it gets too big, it starts calving, like all the galaxies. But isn't that an interesting thought, though? the creation boundary line moved along with all the realities, which many are out here. Perhaps the biggest Earth when creation started was in this area and the size of these dwarfs. But there's probably millions of Earths, enough for many, for our multiple realities to occur. So there, because creation's obviously started on every Earth in their different stages of evolution. That's what we know that because we're on super Earths and we're on dwarf Earths, and we've always been. If we were probably on Pangea while this Earth was a Orion dwarf, but billions of years, millions of years have passed, and these Earths that were out there when creation started at this point, this close to the center, which we now know is habitable, are out here now, and are mammoths, behemoths. So that proves they grow as they venture out the galactic arm, along with all the duplicate matter that's constantly being created. So there's that. That's interesting when you think about it. That there, at one time, your Earth, you recall, was a small little Orion Earth, probably in this vicinity when creation started. So those were, massive Earths compared to the dwarfs, but they were still suitable for life. And we know that because there's evidence that there was life on Pangea Earth. I mean, I live in Michigan, southwest Michigan, and you can find coral fossils in the fields here. I have a chunk myself. I think it's awesome to think that there, the state of Michigan was under saltwater. But life was there. But it's interesting to know that there's millions of Earths behind us, or behind that creation line. Who knows where that is? There could be, this could be the last Earth, maybe, and that's creation started. That this Earth was Pangea when creation started, the one reality we're in now, and it's at this point now. So there may not be many behind us that are having our reality as we know it. Now, what's interesting, and again, I don't like to get too religious, but are these, which we know they're there because this is constantly making duplicate solar systems, obviously, the Mandela Effect's proving it, are these the new Earths that John talked about, chapter 21, Revelation? Just saying, because they're going to have their own heaven, just like every reality does, meaning the sky, and also meaning the spirit realm. That spirit realm, or those other dimensions, are duplicate as well. Each reality has them. In other words, those other dimensions are parallel as well. Everything is, including the matter coming out of here, out of this incredible dynamic center of the galaxy. So, just saying, it's philosophical. That's what I want to try to be on this channel. The Mandela Effect, the great teacher, astrophysics 101. Thanks to the Mandela Effect. And to me, it's very obvious. And this is, again, the key to everything, the quantum entanglement. Because every replica version of yourself in every reality is doing the exact same thing you are, instantaneously. And this quantum entanglement, which science has proven, I don't know what, this is a picture of Lake Michigan right by where I live. Isn't that awesome? I love it here because of that incredible lake that varies considerably from reality to reality as far as the outline of it. But again, I'm going to get back to that. This is one of my favorite articles I read, and science is just now realizing it. They're yet to understand that this has already happened, because what they do is they take these particles and split them and do experiments with them, and they find that no matter what they do, once they split it, they take one particle and do something with it, like wiggle it or whatever they do. And this one does the exact same thing without being touched, and it doesn't matter how far apart it is. So they're realizing that it happens in their experiments, but they've yet to realize that because of creation, it has already happened. We have our soul was, the minute it was created, was already splintered and fractured, along with all our realities. So they have yet to realize that, but they're proving that that's what's going on. Everything is connected. Our soul portions are connected constantly on a subconscious level. It's really important to realize that. Again, science is finally coming around and realizing that this spooky physics isn't that spooky after all. And the Mandela Effect, kind of, what we're experiencing can be spooky, but we're getting to experience the reality in the way it has always been, and yet never known. Science is yet to catch up on what we know. Again, it's making us more intelligent than people who have gone 8 years in college on a specific subject. Say philosophy, could you imagine? If your major was philosophy in any field, you would have totally wasted your time, because philosophy is totally different. And then Mandela Effect, it's interesting to hypothesize and wonder and have everything you've ever wondered about answered. I know I have. Why we do the things we do. But anyway, I put this. I kind of been going on. I need to get a timer because I just ramble on too much. I appreciate you listening. I'm really sorry about the no comments, but it helps me to talk more and be more passive aggressive, if you will, and without worrying about the comments, because some of them are vicious, and I know this seems very improbable, but again, you have to realize we're living in an inverted society, and if you're experiencing the Mandela Effect, it can be really, really perplexing and confusing, because like I said, the real important thing to remember is you were always here. This is your home, and you're being shown another replica version of yourself that has always existed and has been sharing your soul since you were born. And that's what's remarkable about the Mandela Effect. It's showing us that the universe is electrical. It's showing us that everything is parallel. It's showing us that some of us may have suspected we live in a backward society. I always have, I'll tell you that. But then to come to find out that it actually is, and it's meant to be that way. But thanks to the Mandela Effect, I think that's, those days are numbered. They have to be, because the mighty Milky Way galaxy is calving. I really do believe that. Of course, again, astrophysicists ain't going to realize it's probably so gradual that they just don't, you know what I mean? Especially the ones in here, but the astrophysicists on the outer reaches that have duplicate lives throughout the galaxy, doing the same thing, out here may have a hint that something's going on. Especially like this one. Again, this is not collision. This is a calf galaxy, brand new. Just like our galaxy was brand new. Like, say this is the Andromeda, galaxy, and this is the brand new Milky Way galaxy billions of years ago. Obviously, it picked up the fingerprints from this galaxy, which would indicate that this galaxy no doubt has Earth's solar systems with Earth's as well. And no doubt the similar human situation, conditions, and realities perhaps, but they may vary real considerably, who knows. There might be realities, say on the Milky Way arm. I always wondered about that. Again, we only have proof of the Sagittarius arm, but these other arms may have a total different historic line, with similar human conditions perhaps, or everything's identical in there as well. But we know that the Sagittarius arm is the one that's spitting out solar systems with Earth's constantly as we speak. Again, could that be why the Mandela Effect is happening? on such a grand scale. Obviously, some people have been experiencing the shifting for decades, and perhaps all of us have been, and just didn't simply recognize it, because for the most part, these realities are so virtually identical. That's what's so perplexing about the whole thing. Even your phone number, your social security number, your credit card numbers, everything's identical. And things around you, for the most part, are identical. But there are variations and differences in nature and in inanimate objects, because everything created comes from the earth, but they're still inanimate, but they still have atoms, and they were still, those are parallel too, because obviously in every reality they were built. The inanimate objects were created by humans, so they're going to be duplicate as well. The spider web on the wall is going to be in every reality, because the spider has a parallel existence too. His web doesn't have a soul, but it's still, everything it leaves is going to be in every reality. The web is going to be in every reality. The spider is going to be in every reality. That's why it's so perplexing and confusing. But yet, when we recognize the variations and differences around us, like logos and things like that, then we get, confused. But if we keep it simple and realize it and take it for the miracle that it really is, and it's obviously something that was going to happen. It wasn't perpetrated by the opposition forces, or certainly not by human beings. So we know that it was meant to be. It was prophesized. It was something that's going to happen. It was inevitable. It was as inevitable as the galaxies colliding. It was going to happen. It wasn't perpetrated. It was, it may have been known by the creator, of course, know that something like this was going to cause. Again, the main reason the Mandela Effect happened, regardless of how, I know who perpetrated it or what perpetrated it, of course, but it was meant to happen, but it's got to mean something. It's so important. It's ushering in. It was prophesized. We're supposed to get a new Earth. We know it can't be the Earth we're on now. It's too marred. What are we going to do? So there's got to be brand new Earths. And the calving is causing this. It's incredible when you think about it. So I thank you for watching, and we'll talk at you later. Love you.